for those who are off on vacation and watching in later. Y voy a decirles, I'm going to say to you guys, voy a decirles buenas noches, porque no hay luz. Wow, there's not that much light out there. Buenas noches. Vamos a practicar con muchísimas cosas. We're going to practice with lots of stuff, mainly subjunctive, mainly noticing how often it is used. Of course, I'll field any questions that you've got along the way, which can be subjunctive or not related. It depende. And I'm going to have a couple of suggestions for things to watch during our hiatus, because we have, what is it, 3 semanas, 3 weeks? Yeah, waiting in between, which is kind of a long time. So I have a couple of suggestions for that. Okay, vamos a empezar con un video. This is sort of a fun video, even though I don't really expect any of you to be moving to Mexico in the next month. But it's still kind of fun. And you will hear a little bit of subjunctive in this, un poquito, a little bit, but it's always helpful on how to work various things into conversation. And it is a very conversational type of video. Oh, got to remember to turn on my sound with that. I was so proud of myself. I actually knew how to do video on Zoom, which my husband did not know. We found out during
Entonces, ¿piensas mudarte a México u otro país hispanohablante?
And no, mudarte, to move like your residence. Moverse is to move your body around, but mudarte or mudarse is for moving from one residence to another. Okay. ¿Piensas mudarte? Are you thinking about, are you planning? Piensas mudarte técnicamente es, are you planning to move to Mexico?
Perfect. In this video, I, Maria Fernanda from Spring Spanish, I'm going to guide you through some of the most important expat conversations you're inevitably going to have in Spanish. You'll feel much better prepared to settle down and blend with the locals after this video. Finding a home. I have decided to move to the beautiful city of Mexico City, and I have to make sure to find the appropriate home or apartment to settle in. Muy probablemente tendrás que reunirte con agentes de bienes raíces. So, here's an example of a conversation you could have with them. Hola, ¿me puede compartir qué está buscando en una casa?
And now I want you to notice, because they are using buscando here, we are going to have a trigger for subjunctive. ¿Me puede compartir qué está buscando en una casa? Can you share with me what you're looking for in a house? Now, if you're looking for features in a rental, and if you're looking for anything in a store or looking for something in a rental, do you know if it really exists or not?
Nope.
No se sabe. You don't really know. You know how it is? Remember back maybe to the first time you ever moved away from home and you're looking for certain features and you don't get what you were looking for because you wanted something, but it didn't really exist. It wasn't really out there in your price range. Remember back to those days. Well, when you're talking about something you're looking for, and if you don't know for sure if it's out there, you'll have to use subjunctive. So watch how she answers this, what you're looking for in a house. ¿Qué está buscando en una casa?
¿Casa? Gracias. Me gustaría tener un departamento.
So far, not a. Departamento is what they often use in Mexico instead of apartamento. In Spain, that would be a piso. But departamento, even though it looks like department, really is a frequently used term for apartment in Mexico. Me gustaría tener, I would like to have an apartment that has this stuff. So here comes the wish list.
Con 2 habitaciones, mira, como este.
2 bedrooms, like this one, see?
También me gustó este.
And she's got a picture. Me gustó este. I liked this one.
Como este. Que tenga dos baños.
Que tenga dos baños. And that has two baths. Wait a minute, why tenga? Because it's subjunctive. Because estoy buscando a un departamento que tenga dos baños. So this is a really common use for subjunctive. I'm looking for something that might have, because you don't know if it's out there or not. No se sabe si existe, no existe, no sabemos. Yeah, we don't know if this exists. This is our wish list. One that might have two bathrooms. And I know it's translated as that has two bathrooms, but we don't know if it's out there. So it's que tenga dos baños.
Y también preferentemente cerca del centro de la ciudad, acá. Claro que sí. Si tiene tiempo ahorita, podemos ir a hacer algunas visitas. Ah, perfecto. Me parece muy bien. Vamos, ¿sí? Vamos.
And this me parece, ¿qué te parece? What is it? What do you think? She's expressing her opinion. Me parece muy bien. Oh, it seems good to me. Seems good to me. Me parece. This is one of those verbs again, like gustar. Me parece muy bien. Oh, seems good to me. Seems good to me. So she's agreeing. We use a me parece muy bien to agree with something that has been proposed.
Tengo tiempo. Vamos. This is just an example, but if you want to know more about house features, I did a lesson on how to talk about furniture. Check it out here. Exploring the city. The most amazing feeling when you are settled in your future home. ¿A poco no? Estoy segura que una vez que ya tienes casa, ahora es tiempo de explorar la ciudad y sus alrededores.
And notice she says, estoy segura que. I'm sure. Estoy segura que. I'm sure that. When you say, I'm sure that, is there any doubt? No hay duda. No doubt. Phrases like estoy segura que indicate, I think this is real, so it's in the realm of real. We will not use subjunctive with ideas like that, okay? If you're sure, it means no doubt, you think this is going to happen, so no subjunctive needed here.
First advice, no tengas miedo en preguntar.
And that is a command. No tengas miedo. Don't have fear. Don't be afraid to ask.
If you're living in an apartment, you might have the chance to speak to a receptionist, concierge, or a doorman. In that case, use your Spanish and ask things like, disculpe señor o señorita, ¿qué hay cerca de aquí? ¿Es seguro caminar por aquí a cualquier hora del día?
And notice, está seguro means, are you sure? But es seguro means, is it safe? Seguro, the word seguro changes in meaning depending on if you're using estar or ser. Es seguro means, is it secure? Meaning, is it safe? Es seguro caminar por aquí, around here.
¿Dónde está el súper o la farmacia más cercana?
So super is a word that is often used in Mexico as a shorty word, a shortened term for supermercado, okay?
Chunk alert, ¿dónde está? Is a super useful chunk in Spanish that you should learn by heart as a whole. You will be able to use it in many different sentences like ¿dónde está la farmacia? Or very important, ¿dónde está el mejor puesto de tacos? Take note, you need that one a lot.
Yeah, because street tacos are like the sacred place where everybody goes to eat.
You're still
In
learning how
Mexico.
to ask for directions? Then check out my lesson for specific chunks you need when asking for directions in any Spanish-speaking country. Speaking with locals. All right, you don't have a concierge because you live in a private or rented house, but you have something called los vecinos. Y sinceramente, los vecinos pueden ser de gran ayuda. Unless they are, the noisy kind. Pero solo es una broma. So, how can you approach them? Hola vecina, ¿cómo está? Sí, yo soy María y acabo de mudarme a la ciudad.
Acabo de mudarme. Oh, whoops, I
Important.
hit the wrong button here. Acabo de, acabo
Hola vecina, ¿cómo
de,
está?
acabo de mudarme. I just moved in, yeah?
Sí, yo soy María y acabo de mudarme a la ciudad. Hola vecina, ¿qué tal? Mucho gusto. ¿De dónde es usted? Yo soy de los Estados Unidos, pero siempre me gustó México. Oye, pero no me hable de usted. Puedes hablarme de tú.
And this is one of the ways of inviting people to speak to you on an informal, familiar level. In Mexico, they are great fans of usted as a formal way to address people, or a way to address people when you've just met and you don't really know them at all. It's considered respectful. But if you know the person lives next door, it's kind of safe to dive in relatively quickly, as opposed to just somebody you meet on the street. But people who live on either side of you or in your neighborhood, no me hable de usted, don't talk to me using usted. Puedes hablarme de tú. You can talk to me using tú. And people may change that last half of that sentence to say, puedes tutearme, you can speak, or podemos tutearnos, we can speak to each other using tú. So tutearse is an actual verb in Spanish, which means to talk to each other using tú instead of usted. So it's common to invite people to go on a familiar
Pues bienvenida entonces.
level.
Si necesitas ayuda, solo échame un grito para que con gusto te apoye. Ay, qué linda, muchas gracias. Adiós.
Oh, I think we had a little bit of subjunctive there that we did. Oh, perdón.
Si necesitas ayuda.
If you need help, just give me a holler. Échame un grito. Echar is to throw something. Échame un grito. Hey, just shout out. Give me a shout out there, yeah? Para que con gusto te apoye. Para que te apoye, so that I can help you. And the con gusto just says, I'm delighted to do that. The con gusto just means with pleasure. Para que te apoye. Para que te apoye, so that I might be able to help you. Para que, and it's important that it is para que, not just para. Para que te apoye, so that I might be able to help you, becomes subjunctive. Okay? If it were just para without the que, para apoyarte, in order to help you, but para que te apoye is so that I can help you.
Solo échame un grito para que con gusto te apoye. Ay, qué linda, muchas gracias. Adiós. If you say this to a local, then you're giving them permission to approach you in a friendly and informal manner. Yo soy de los Estados Unidos, pero siempre me gustó México. Pero no me hable de usted, puedes hablarme de tú. By the way, to make sure you know all the useful chunks you will need in your conversations with your neighbors, download your free Spanish chunking kit. It contains several cheat sheets with useful Spanish chunks, and the link is in the description. That wasn't that hard, right? But what about if it's a stranger from a restaurant, pub, or even on the street? How would you approach a local without being too creepy or rude? Let's see the following conversation. Hola, disculpa, ¿me puedes ayudar? Sí, claro, ¿qué necesitaba? Lo que pasa es que recién me mudé a la ciudad y no conozco mucho los alrededores y quisiera saber si pudieses darme unos tips. Claro que sí, de comida, de vivienda, de seguridad. Tal vez un poco de todo. Sí, fíjate.
And the Victorias are the brand of beer, I believe. A few
La
Victorias
neta, qué
later.
buena onda son los mexicanos. Muchas gracias por todo. Sí, y ya tienes mi número por cualquier cosa. ¿Me escribes o me llamas? So, if you approach people in the correct and polite manner, they will definitely help you. And if you're lucky enough, like this girl, probably you will end up making some friends. The most important is to know the chunks that you need to request information, advice, or just help. By the way, I have made a video about how to ask for help in Spanish too that you can go and watch right after this lesson. But before that, to end this lesson, do you know the chunks to ask for advice? At this moment, you should be writing down all the new vocabulary and phrases you have learned so far. Here are an extra 5. ¿Me recomendarías este restaurante?
And this is what they call conditional. Recomendarías, but you know what? It's just as easy because that is a mouthful. Recomendarías. Wow. Recomendar, we use the whole infinitive and we add an ias on the end, like as if it were an imperfect ending. Me recomendarías, would you recommend me? So it's just as easy to say, me recomiendas, and just conjugate recomendar into presente. It's just as easy to do that. Me recomiendas este restaurante. Do you recommend this restaurant to me? Easier to say, me recomiendas, than me recomendarías. Probably.
Número 2. ¿Podrías sugerirme algo para hacer
esta noche? Sí, podrías. Could you
Número
suggest?
3. ¿Dónde puedo tomar clases de piano?
Clases de yoga, clases de español, clases de arte, depende, ¿sí?
Número 4. ¿Cómo le hago para rentar un carro? Número 5. ¿Te molestaría darme un tour por la ciudad?
Now that one's a little bit of a stretch.
Great. So
You're
now
about
you
to
met
give
a
me
new person, a
tour.
potential new friend or lover. How do you initiate a conversation nicely? That's why you will learn.
Okay, esto basta. That's enough for that. So some little chunks, but you can see how we weave. We definitely weave lots of subjunctive into everyday conversation. It is just done. It is done all the time. So, okay, vale. I will give you the link to check that out. Una vez más, one more time. But what we're going to do is move on to some subjunctives. So I'm going to do a share screen just to show you what you want to have handy. First off, for when we go into small groups, we're not going to do that yet, but for when we do, this little page right here that have the prompts. We're going to use some subjunctive just with K, without a first half trigger at all. We're going to use a little bit of that. So these prompts that I sent to you last week, Friday, I believe, or no, Thursday night, maybe Thursday. You may want to either pull that up as a computer screen, or if you printed it out, grab that piece of paper. Maybe you don't have it handy right away. In the top half, you will be practicing later how to use que with subjunctive, where we actually skip the trigger. And the bottom half is going to be small group work where you fill in the latter half. And we're going to review and reinforce the triggers, only 2 triggers of verbs of wish, want, and desire, and impersonal expressions, meaning phrases that start with S and a descriptive word, okay? And we'll kind of preview those before we send you out in the deep water to do that with some compañeros or compañeras. So we'll definitely go review all of that before we send you off to do the work. Okay, A ver, bueno, vamos a empezar. So we're going to do that after we do our destinos walkthrough. We're going to do destinos first. Primero, y tengo mi, y el episodio es Estoy harta. Estoy harta. Estoy harta means I'm fed up. I'm fed up is how that translates. And when you're fed up with something, that's exactly the word that you, estoy harta, usually with the word de. Estoy harta de. Y vamos a empezar, un momentito. We won't play the whole thing, but we are going to kind of quickly run through so that we can highlight things that were going on. Y, we have a newly enlightened Juan. Juan con su esposa Patty. Yeah, we got a newly enlightened Juan with his sweetie Patty. And so we're going to actually have some episodes with them, some algunas partes con también con Don Fernando y todo eso, ¿dónde? And they review a little bit all the stuff that they're going to talk about. Sí, eres tú quien no has cambiado mi opinión. Wow, he has told her to meet him in the office later on, right? And, you know, she says, it's you who has not changed your opinion. So she's kind of going in ready for a fight. La pobre Patty, poor Patty, because she's being faced with kind of some censorship issues.
Otro triunfo en tu
¿Dónde
carrera.
está? Aquí.
Pati, tal vez mañana lleven a papá de regreso a la Gavia.
Yeah. Tal vez mañana lleven a papá de regreso a la Gavia. Patty, maybe, and notice he uses the word maybe. So maybe is often a trigger for subjunctive to come afterwards, because subjunctive is used for certainty, things that are real, things that actually are happening or actually did happen or really, honest to God, will happen in the future. But when we say maybe, quite often that is a precursor for subjunctive. Tal vez mañana lleven a papá de regreso. Maybe tomorrow they're going to take dad back. A regreso means back. Take him back to La Gavia. So we use a subjunctive there.
Tú quieres regresar también, ¿verdad?
And
Creo que debo regresar.
Creo que debo regresar. I think that I should. I think that is for sure. No subjunctive. Creo que debo regresar. I think I should return. Indicativo, all plain old present tense, no subjunctive. I think that indicates certainty.
Mira, yo había pensado pedirte que vinieras conmigo, pero
And he used a past subjunctive. He said, you know, I thought maybe you could come
ahora
back.
comprendo que no puedo pedirte que vengas.
No puedo pedirte que vengas. And pedirte, even though it's not conjugated, I can't ask you that you come. I can't ask you to come. And where in English we would say, I can't ask you to come, when we use pedir, that is part of that verbs of desire thing. When you ask somebody for something, you ask them to do something. We get a que, and I can't ask that you do this. I can't ask that you come along. No puedo pedirte que vengas. I can't ask you to come along because you're needed here, he's going to tell her.
La obra te necesita más que yo.
La obra, the work, meaning the theater work. La obra. Okay, the play. The play needs you.
No sabes cuánto me alegra oírte decir eso.
You don't know how happy I am to hear that.
Yo quisiera irme contigo.
I'd like to come with you. It's that super polite thing. I would like.
Lo sé, mi amor, lo sé. Pero ya incluso hice la reservación para el vuelo.
I even made the reservation already. So you saw some subjunctive here. Y el pobre. Ooh, we're going to get, I believe, we're going to get even more. We're going to see even more reasons we use subjunctive here muy pronto. Bueno, Mercedes tiene una conversación con el médico de su papá. Y dice, doctor.
Señora, como le expliqué, ya no hay nada que se pueda hacer por su padre.
And notice what he said. No hay nada. There is nothing. If there is nothing, does any help exist? No, because he says, no hay nada. There is nothing that we can do for him. And because he's saying, this is kind of akin to that idea of I'm looking for a place that has 2 bedrooms, but you don't know if something's out there with 2 bedrooms. When you say there ain't nothing we can do for this poor old boy anymore, you're saying it doesn't exist. So no hay nada que se pueda hacer. There's nothing that can be done for your dad. He's saying we're out of hope. We pulled all the rabbits out of the hat. Nothing left. No hay nada que se pueda hacer. There's nothing that can be done.
Puede llevarlo a su casa como él quiere.
You can take him home as he wants to do.
Rodearlo de afecto. Sobre todo eso, darle mucho afecto.
Surround him with affection. So take him home, love him, give him attention.
Deben tener mucho cuidado con él.
Be really careful with the old boy.
Sobre todo, no darle ningún problema.
Don't give him any trouble. No darle ningún problema. Don't be pushing back and giving him grief. Don't give the poor guy grief.
Tener mucho cuidado con la alimentación. Su
And
estado es muy delicado.
his state's very, very delicate.
Bueno,
So
señor Castillo,
we use some
pronto estará en
subjunctive.
su casa como quería. Y yo no tendré que aguantar más sus quejas.
Yo sé que regreso a mi casa para morir.
I know I'm going home to die. Ugh!
Y en este momento el doctor se lo está diciendo a mi hija.
Señor Castillo.
I know that's what the doctor's telling my daughter right now.
Óyeme.
And he's telling her, óyeme means listen to me. Hear me out. Once I lost something very important to me.
Una vez yo perdí algo muy importante para mí. Tú eres joven. Tienes
You're a young gal.
toda una larga vida
You got a nice long life ahead of you.
y un futuro por delante. No dejes perder las cosas importantes de la vida.
Don't lose out. Don't leave behind. Don't let yourself miss out. Don't let yourself miss out on the important things in life. And of course, we find out that her name is Rosario. So of course, he's like going into big time PTSD. Yeah, because he's remembering that his first wife. Okay. And now we switch over to the more amusing romantic problems here. ¿Qué querés? Oh, and he's using vos. Because, como argentino o gaucho, as a gaucho, un argentino, he's talking to her using vos. Yeah. ¿Qué querés? What do you want? A sus órdenes is really, at your service. Waiters will say things like that. And they're ordering a couple of coffees, of course. Enseguida is right away. Hey, did you have any problem? No. I thought you were writing some kind of novel. Well, he's implying that she was gone for a long time.
Los reportes requieren muchos detalles. Además, tuve que llamar a la oficina.
Yeah, I got a lot of details I got to write about in my reports, and I had to call the office back.
Gracias.
Gracias.
A sus órdenes.
¿Azúcar?
No, gracias.
Raquel, quería hacerte una pregunta.
I wanted to
Sí,
ask you a
dime.
question.
¿Te
Go
gustaría
ahead.
hacer un viaje a Cozumel?
And now he, unlike the other thing, just does not spring the tickets on her.
¿A Cozumel?
Sí. Pienso que podríamos ir juntos a Cozumel.
Pero no habrá sacado ya los pasajes, ¿verdad?
You didn't already buy those tickets.
No haría una cosa así. Sí.
Oh, I would not do such a thing. No harías tal cosa. I would not do such a thing
Antes consultar contigo.
without consulting you first. Yeah.
Además pensé que podrían venir tus padres con nosotros.
Oh, I also thought that maybe your folks could come with us. Ooh.
¿Quieres que mis padres vayan también?
Do you want that my parents should go too? Oh, verb of desire, very, very obvious, muy obvio. Es muy obvio que necesitamos aquí usar el subjuntivo. ¿Quieres que mis padres vayan también? Do you want that my parents should come along as well?
Bueno, ellos han venido de Los Ángeles para verte.
Well, hey, they've come all the way from LA to see you.
Sería injusto que los dejáramos plantados, ¿no te?
I would not be fair if we left them stuck. Oh, dejar plantado. Dejar plantado means to leave someone planted, like planted in soil. But dejar plantado is a special phrase which means to stand somebody up, to like leave them in the lurch. So if you make a date with somebody and you dump them without telling them, not coming, you stand them up, meaning you don't show up for the date you said you were going to come on. It's dejar planteado, or plantado, perdón, dejar plantado. You leave them planted. That means you left them high and dry. So he's saying, oh, I would not be a fair kind of guy if we left them high and dry, if we just dumped them, if we stood them up and just left them here after they traveled all this way. Dejar plantado, to stand somebody up, to say you're going to show up and then you don't. You leave them planted like a pot.
¿Te parece?
No te parece, don't you think? No te parece is the way people often ask, not always, but often ask, what do you think? And they're asking for whether or not you agree. When they ask you, ¿qué te parece? How does it seem to you? They're saying, don't you agree?
Arturo, eres muy comprensivo.
You're a
¿Qué te
sensitive
parece si
guy.
esperamos a que ellos lleguen y les preguntamos?
Sí. So, you know, she asks, esperamos que ellos lleguen. Let's wait for them to come. Y les preguntamos si desean, qué desean hacer. So, let's wait for them to come because they haven't come yet. So, que lleguen is subjuntivo.
Preguntamos qué desean hacer.
Bueno, muy bien, pero mientras tanto nosotros podemos ir viendo posibilidades.
Oh, meanwhile, we can check out some, you know, possible
Aquí
things to
tengo
do.
Mucha información. Playas, horarios de vuelo, hoteles. ¿Mm?
¿Me puedo sentar?
Me puedo sentar, may I sit down? And he kind of tells them of the specialist. El especialista dice que ya no hay nada que hacer. Specialist says there's nothing left for us to do for the poor old guy.
No hay nada que hacer. Mañana lo llevaremos a la Gavia.
And tomorrow we'll bring him back to La Gavia.
En estas circunstancias yo creo que Ángela, Roberto y usted, Arturo, deberían ir a la Gavia mañana mismo.
And so he is suggesting, under the circumstances, I think that everybody should come back to La Gavia to be around Don Fernando.
De acuerdo.
Tú también vendrás, ¿verdad?
And will you come too?
Sí, por supuesto.
She says, yes, of course.
Bien. Debo irme a hablar con los demás.
I should take off to talk with everybody else. Y aquí viene, aquí. Cambiamos de tema. We're changing gears here. Y aquí viene Gloria. Here comes Gloria. Where were you this time? So we know that's not the first time. ¿Dónde estabas? Where were you?
Llamé por teléfono a todos lados.
I called every place. A todos lados. On all sides. So he's saying, I called everywhere. He must know every single place this gal goes to gamble. My God. Okay. Pare.
Estaba muy preocupado.
I was really worried.
Debes haberme llamado.
You could have called me.
Perdóname. Por favor, no te enojes.
Please don't get mad. Yeah.
Vamos. Tenemos que hablar claro.
Hablar claro is a frequent phrase. Hablar claro is it means to speak clearly, but usually it's the precursor to an uncomfortable situation. Hablar claro is indicating we got to put our cards on the table. We've got to be frank. You know, we gotta lay all our cards out and talk openly and frankly. So yeah, hablar claro. Can't beat around the bush. Got to cut to the core here.
Yo creo que lo mejor es que el abuelo regrese a casa.
We've got an impersonal here in a way, even though she doesn't use es. Watch what she says.
A veces pasa. Hay que ser optimistas. Seguro que en su casa se encontrará mejor.
Tío, ¿te puedo hacer una pregunta?
Por supuesto. Eso no quiere decir que te la voy a contestar.
Mañana cuando nos presentemos.
Oh, oops, and we missed this. I'm sorry. Yo creo que lo mejor, I think the best thing, I had to back it up a bit. Creo que lo mejor, I think the best thing es que, I think the best thing is that, and this is an impersonal expression, even though she doesn't use that es part of it. Creo que lo mejor, I think the best thing would be for Grandpa to come back home. Es que abuelo regrese, not regresa, regrese. I think the best thing would be for him to come back because him coming back is not happening yet. Es que el abuelo regrese a casa. Okay. Subjuntivo otra vez. Y, oh, then of course she's kind of prying into his love life a little bit, but he's not telling her anything.
Bien, es hora de que nos vayamos a desempacar.
Time for us to go unpack, desempacar.
¿Cómo no? Los veré después, hija. Un momento. Hola. Pasen.
Pasen is always come on in, right? They don't say come in, it's always pasen, pass in.
Permiso.
Ellos son Ángela y Roberto Castillo Soto, los nietos de don Fernando, mis padres. Ay, señora.
Mucho gusto. ¿Qué tal?
Y él es el doctor Arturo Iglesias.
Uh-oh, cold shoulder coming right away.
Mucho gusto. Hola, ¿qué tal? Encantado.
El papá es buen tipo. Dad's a good guy. Yeah. Mamá, no.
Luis, ¿cómo
Oh, but Luis gets the full, yeah.
estás?
Tenía usted razón, María. La idea de venir a México fue una muy buena sugerencia de usted.
Oh, yeah, coming to Mexico was a really good suggestion of yours.
Sí.
Ding, 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 ding.
¿Qué les parece si nos vamos a cenar?
And this is the way we often ask again. You see the te parece, les parece. What do you guys think? This is a way of asking, what do you guys think about doing this? You're asking for agreement. ¿Qué les parece si nos vamos a cenar? What do you think if we go down to eat? If we take off to eat, nos vamos. If we go off to eat, nos vamos a cenar. Having dinner, of course, because cenar is more specific, dinner hour.
Tú vienes con nosotros, ¿verdad, Luis?
Y usted también, por supuesto.
Muy incómodo, really uncomfortable.
Me parece.
Me parece que molesto. I think I bother your
Sé que
mom.
molesta.
Ay, pero Arturo, vamos, será divertido.
It'll be fun. Come on. Yeah. Not with
Vamos,
mom.
tío, sí, vamos. ¿Qué les parece si nos encontramos?
What do you think if we meet up? Nos encontramos, we find each other, but this is often used as a way to say if we get together. ¿Qué les parece si nos encontramos? And they're going to talk about, I think, a timeline here. En una hora.
Así tenemos tiempo para cambiarnos.
Yeah, we have time to change.
Vamos, sí.
And he's like, yeah, if you insist. Está muy enojada, la pobre, la pobre. Y when they say burlándose, they're talking about her talking to herself here. Burlarse is to make fun of, to mock someone. So she's mocking her, she's mocking the little interchange between Luis and her mama. Burlándose means she is mocking them. Oh, you're right, Maria. The idea of coming down to Mexico was a great suggestion.
Trajimos mucha ropa para tan pocos días.
Oh, we brought so much clothing for just a few days. Golpe is a blow. It may as well be because she's ticked off, but hey, you know, golpe, knocking.
Ay, me muero de hambre, ¿eh?
I'm dying of hunger.
Mamá,
¿te fijaste qué guapo está Luis?
Hey, did you notice how good looking that Luis is? ¿Te fijaste? Did you notice?
Más maduro, todo un hombre.
He's really mature. A real gentleman. Todo un hombre. All a man. He is prime stuff, is what Mama thinks. Yeah.
Y le va muy bien, ¿eh? Tiene muy buena.
And he's doing really, really well. He's got a good job.
Fíjate que no se.
Oh, notice he's not married yet. Fíjate que no se ha casado. Notice he hasn't gotten married.
Casado.
Mamá, ¿por qué lo hiciste y con qué derecho?
What did you do this and what right do you have? Derecho is a right. Like, you know, a right to work, a right to leave, a right to, yeah, a right.
¿Hacer qué?
Tú sabes muy bien a lo
Say
que
what?
me refiero.
Me refiero. You know what I'm talking about. This little phrase, this is a very common phrase for people to use.
Mamá, ¿por qué lo hiciste y con qué derecho?
¿Hacer qué?
Tú sabes muy bien a lo que me refiero. You know what I am talking about. Me refiero is what I'm referring to. But if you said it in English as what I'm referring to, that sounds kind of formal talk. This is very common talk in Spanish, right? When you want to say what I am talking about, it's lo que me refiero, what I'm talking about.
Muy bien a lo que me refiero. No tenías ningún derecho
You had no right to make him come down here without asking me, without even telling me.
Luis te quería ver.
Ay, mamá, por favor, te conozco
He wanted to see you.
muy bien. Tú le dijiste que viniera.
Bueno,
You told him to come. And she used past subjunctive. Decir que, or dijiste que viniera. You were the one who told him to come. It was her imposing her will on him. They used a past because it was you told him that he should come.
¿Qué?
And so what?
¿Qué? No sabes el problema que me has causado.
mira, el único problema es que tú andas con el gaucho ese de aquí para allá.
Yeah, only problem is that you're walking around with that Argentine guy.
Se llama Arturo, mamá.
Yeah, he has a
Y
name,
yo ando
Mom.
con él de aquí para allá, como tú dices. Tú sabes muy bien lo que yo estoy haciendo aquí en México. El verdadero problema que tengo eres tú.
Ah, yo soy el problema. Mira, yo no vine de tan lejos para que mi propia hija me insultara.
I didn't come from so far off for my own daughter to insult me. Yeah, I did not come. It's a past idea, so they used a past subjunctive. So yeah.
Que yo te insulto.
Me insult you. What did you do with him?
No comprendo.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No comprendes. Te portaste muy grosera con él.
Grosera is, it looks like gross, but it really means rude. Grosera is rude. Wow, you acted. Portarse is to behave, or to conduct yourself in a certain way. Te portaste muy grosera con él. You acted really rudely to him.
Lo insultaste.
You insulted him.
Como si fuera un extraño. Como
You acted as if he's some total stranger,
si fuera nadie.
as if he were a nobody. Como si fuera nadie, as if he were nothing, as if he were nobody.
Para mí no es nadie.
For me, he is nothing.
No importa quién es Arturo para ti. Lo que
It doesn't matter what he is to you.
es quién es para mí.
It matters who he
Arturo
is to me. Poor dad. Don't you feel for this poor guy? Yeah. Pobre papa. But he knows better than to meddle. There are lots of stereotypic takes on la mama, on a Mexican mom. And many are stereotypes, and as stereotypes, you know, it is seen that la mama, the mom gets like, you know, kind of gives her blessing or not to boyfriends and girlfriends. But yeah, they push the envelope a little bit on this.
Insultarlo a él es como insultarme a mí.
Insulting him is like insulting me.
Por favor, mamá. ¿Cuándo vas a dejar de tratarme como una niña?
When are you going to stop treating me like a little girl? Dejar de tratarme. When are you going to stop treating me like a kid?
Haciendo cosas sin pedir mi opinión. No
You don't ask my opinion.
Mira, ya estoy harta de ya no soy una niña.
I'm fed up with this. I'm not a child anymore. Estoy harta. If you're a man, you'd say estoy harto. But since it's la mamá, estoy harta.
Siempre quieres gobernar mi vida.
I've had it with
¿Quieres andar
this.
con el gaucho ese? Anda, dale.
Yeah, you want to go out? Fine. Dale, go for it. Go for it, dale. El pobre papá.
Los espero abajo con los demás.
I'll wait for you downstairs.
Raquel tiene razón, ¿sabes?
You know she's right. Poor dad. He's trying to, well, yeah, he's trying to help. Trata de ayudar.
Ahora vienes tú.
Now
Yo no he
it's
dicho
you.
nada.
Yo te dije que no le dijeras a Luis que viniera a México sin hablar.
I told you not to tell Luis to come down
Raquel, ahora la has puesto en
without talking to Raquel first. And now you've put her in a tight spot.
una situación muy difícil.
Ahora tú también estás contra mí.
Yeah, now you. Contra mí, against me.
Pero mira, haz lo que se te da la gana.
Do whatever you feel like. Haz is a command. Do. Haz lo que se te da la gana. Do whatever you feel like. Yeah.
María, no hagas un escándalo, María.
Oh, don't be that way. Yeah, don't make a big scandal. Don't make a scene. Don't make a scene.
Qué manera de comenzar un viaje.
What a way to start a vacation. Or, well, trip. Viaje. Y la pobre, I don't know if we're going to get... Oh, we'll get a little bit of subjunctive. We're going to see a little bit of a contrast with the next couple visits.
Hola.
Hola, pasa. Mira, Luis, ya que estás aquí, voy a decirte que
Now that you're here, I'm going to tell you straight out.
definitivamente no voy a ir a Cihuatanejo
I'm not going on vacation with you, dude.
contigo.
¿Estás enojada?
Por
You mad? Yeah.
supuesto que sí. Mi mamá no debió invitarte a venir aquí sin avisarme antes.
Mom should not have invited you here without telling me about it. Avisar is to advise, to forewarn somebody.
Es por Arturo.
It's because of Arturo. You're in love with him.
Enamorada de él.
Ay, Luis.
Enough, man. I'm surprised she still lets this guy in the door. Pobre Luis, pero no.
¿Qué tal?
Uh,
Perdón, te llamaré más tarde.
oh, he is going to excuse himself. Te llamaré, I'll call you later.
No, no, por favor, Arturo. Yo ya me iba. Nos veremos
Yeah, I was going.
en la cena.
We'll see each other at dinner.
Hasta luego. Raquel, no es conveniente que vayas a cenar con tus padres.
It's not a great idea that I should go eat dinner with your parents.
Ellos recién llegan.
They just
Por
got
favor,
here.
Arturo, quiero que vengas con nosotros.
Pero debes
Quiero que me. It's a desire thing, right? Quiero que vengas con nosotros. I want that you should come with us. Quiero que vengas. Quiero que vengas. I want you to come.
atenderlos. Es evidente que
But now notice, he does not express this as doubt. He says, es evidente. And if it's evident, then it's plain and it's clear and it's a fact. So even though it begins with es and it's a description, es evidente indicates certainty. Es evidente que no le caigo bien a tu mamá. It's obvious, it's evident, it's a truth that your mom doesn't like me. But notice how we express your mom doesn't like me. I don't fall well on your mom. Is the way they typically say this, and this is really common. Le caigo bien a tu mamá means your mom doesn't like me, but what it really says is I kind of fall flat with your mom, right? No le caigo bien, I don't fall well on mom, meaning I don't impress her. So while this sounds very weird, it is their way of saying your mom doesn't like me. What it really says is I don't make a good impression on your mom. And the le is talking about a tu mamá. Le caigo bien. I don't fall well on your mom, meaning
que no le caigo
she
bien
doesn't
a tu
like
mamá.
me.
No quiero causar fricciones entre ustedes. Son tus padres.
They're good.
Arturo, tú no tienes la culpa.
He's just too understanding to be for real, this guy. Yeah,
Es mi mamá.
it's not your fault, she
Ella
says.
a
It's my
veces-
mom.
Bueno, mi cuarto parece la estación central.
Yeah, my room is Grand Central.
Pasen, pasen.
And now they're gonna ditch dinner. Okay.
¿Seguro que no quieren cenar con nosotros?
Seguro. Comeremos algo en el hotel. Bueno, nos disculpa.
Claro. Nos vemos mañana. Sí.
Bueno, yo también te dejo, así te doy tiempo a cambiarte. Nos veremos abajo.
And we'll get one more subjunctive snippet here.
Raquel, ¿te pasa algo?
Something happening,
quieres
something
que
going
hablemos, yo
on.
me-
Si quieres que hablemos. Si quieres que hablemos. If you want that we should talk this over, me puedo quedar un rato. I can stay a little while. Un rato is a little while.
Puedo quedar un rato. Ahora no, Ángela, gracias. Te lo contaré todo mañana.
I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Bien. Y ahora ella tiene un repaso. Now she does her little review with all kinds of structures and having you guess things that went on
Don
through the
Fernando
video.
va a
So
regresar.
we're going to stop it. Oh, see? I see. Okay. Yeah. And they ended up with our very uncomfortable threesome. Everybody's bailing out on dinner. Yeah. Los tres. It's the three who I'm sure these guys are just thrilled to be together again for dinner. Ay. Me parece que no. I think probably not. Pero así es, but so it is. Okay, so we have lots and lots of little snippets with subjunctive there. So what I want you to remember is that subjunctive, we know that those verbs of desire like querer, desear, pedir, when you ask somebody to do something, that those need subjunctive. But there are lots of these little impersonal phrases that will also trigger subjunctive. So you have that. How did that go with this little site over the week where they had you, and it didn't look exactly like this. It was wishes in regular forms, where they did a little lesson and then you listened to the examples. Did that make sense to you? See? You?
See,
Okay.
but a lot of words I didn't know.
Well, there, yes, once, and I'm not going to go through the whole story,
Yeah.
but yeah, you know, they were taking a typical stroll through the city and they use that as a vehicle to see, do you know whether or not we're using subjunctive in these cases? So they do use that as a little vehicle. But you know, what we want to impress you with, and I'll leave this as more of a video, the verb ser is often used. We're not going to play this whole thing, but you'll play this later. The verb ser will always be conjugated with es, with these, and you did really well with these last week. But, you know, there'll be, there are literally almost limitless number of phrases you can build with this es. Es bueno que, es malo que, es dudoso que, is doubtful that, es importante que, it's important that, es imposible que, it's impossible that, es mejor que, it's better that, somebody should do something, okay? Es menester, there are lots of ways to say it's necessary. Es necesario que, we're just going to preview this. I'll give you the link to watch this later. Es necesario que, es raro que, it's rare or it's strange that, es terrible que, es una lástima que, it's a shame, es urgente que. So we can build just almost endless numbers of phrases with es, but sometimes es in a phrase will not go subjunctive. So let's just take a little look at this, but you can watch it in more detail later on. When es and the word after it indicates certainty, for sure, then it will not trigger subjunctive. So let's look at a few examples of phrases that will not trigger. Es cierto que. Es cierto que means it's certain or it's true. And if something is true, we do not use subjunctive. Okay, so we're just going to show you there is kind of a limited number of phrases. Es obvio que, it's obvious that, falls into the realm of truth. It will not use subjunctive. Es seguro que, it's for sure that. No subjunctive because it indicates certainty. All these ideas of words like cierto, obvio, seguro, they indicate for sureness. Es verdad que, it's true that. Words like that, or no es dudoso. Es dudoso uses subjunctive, but no es dudoso, it's not doubtful. All these phrases, and you can watch these later, these indicate certainty. So while es, with the vast majority of descriptor words, will use subjunctive, es with these ideas will not use subjunctive because these words like cierto, obvio, seguro, verdad, or no es dudoso indicate for sure. And in Spanish, for sure is considered in the realm of reality. Therefore, indicative, therefore, no subjunctive. But it's a pretty small list of words, pretty small. So most of these are going to be like what we're going to use or practice down here. Es raro que, es preciso que, and preciso there doesn't mean precise, it means it's necessary, like super important necessary. Es probable que, es imposible que, right? So just keep in mind, once in a while, those es phrases won't use subjunctive. And all the prompts I gave you to practice, they will use subjunctive. Okay, but we're going to start with something a little bit limited. Sometimes, and I'm going to highlight this. Sometimes people leave off the trigger part. And they just say something like before they leave a room. And they just start it with que. So, you learned it was supposed to be one human being with a trigger verb, then the que, and then the subjunctive. Some people leave off that trigger part. And so they'll say things like, God bless you. Que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you. And what they're leaving off is the, I hope that God blesses you. I'd like God to bless you. I ask God to bless you. They're leaving off that first half. And they're starting with que. Que Dios te bendiga. So sometimes we use subjunctive really with just half the sentence there. And we omit the wish or desire half of it. And we start with que and tag on a subjunctive, okay? So let's see if we can figure out, we're gonna do this part together. Have a good day. And we're gonna use tener. We're gonna start with que and use tener to say, have a good day. ¿Cómo se dice? How would we say this?
Que tenga un buen día.
Que tenga buen día. Que tenga, or it could be tengas, right? It depends on if you're, and it could even be to a bunch of people, and then it will be tengan. Que tenga buen día. Que tengas buen día. Que tengan buen día if you talk to a group. Que tenga buen día. And people just throw that out as a thing before they leave. Yeah, que tenga buen día. Have a good day. Have a good
So
day.
You don't need the A, you don't need
no.
Un.
No, you don't need un. No. Que tenga buen día. Usually just that. You could put in an un, but a lot of people will get rid of it. Yeah. Que tenga buen día. Get well.
Que te mejores, yeah.
Que te mejores. Que te mejores. If you speak to them on a formal basis, que se mejore. Que se mejore. Que te mejores, que se mejore.
Can you put the say at the end? Que mejore se?
No, we can't tag it on here. We're saying that you may recover.
Okay.
You couldn't say que mejorte either.
No.
Okay.
No. You could. Now, if you did not use que, so there's maybe a caveat here. If you make it a command and you say get better, you could say, oops, and I need to, mejorate. Now that's a command. Now it's a command. I did not start off with the word que. Oh, The que tells you that it is going into subjunctive. You could say mejorate, get well. You could. Es posible, it's possible, but then we won't inject that word que. So yeah, you got some flip-flop room. Mejorate, mejorese, you could express it that way, but que mejores, may you get well. Que se mejore, may you get well. Oh, may it go well for you. We're going to use ir, and ir is an oddball one. It's subjunctive. We're going to start with the word que.
Que te vayas bien.
Que te vaya bien. Que te vaya bien. And vaya will say vaya, because vayas would mean you're actually going.
Oh.
May it go well for you. And the for you is te. Que te vaya bien. Que te vaya bien. May it go well. And therefore it's just vaya because it goes. Right? Not you go, but it goes. Que te vaya bien. If you're speaking to somebody not on a tú level, que le vaya bien.
Could
And
you
it just says
say,
vaya.
could you say que vaya bien para ti?
You could, but it's probably more common to plug in this little pronoun.
Okay.
It sounds a little more natural that way. Que te vaya bien. It goes well for you. The for you is indicated by plugging in that word te or le if you're on a formal footing, not first name basis. Que le vaya bien. Que te vaya bien. This is more how they would expect to hear it from you. Que te vaya bien. Okay? Have a good time.
Que
We're going to use
diviertas.
muy bien. Que te diviertas. Que te diviertas.
You wouldn't say que te tenga diviertas?
No.
Oh.
So that one is a big no. We never say have a good time with tener. There are a few ways, more than one, to say enjoy yourself, have a good time, cut loose, folks, but never with tener. That is our English interfering because we say have a good time, and they don't use tener to say have a good time. They don't. Que te diviertas. If you're not on a tú level, que se divierta. Also okay. Bien. This is the other way to say have a good time, with pasar. With pasar. Also very, very, very common. As a matter of fact, I would probably use that before divertirse. I just wanted you to see two different ways of doing it. Okay? And the lo is just says lo. So, que lo
Pases bien.
Que lo pases bien. Que lo pases bien. Que lo pase bien. And that would probably be my number one response. Que lo pases bien. I would use, and I don't have my asterisks here. I would use this one. I would use for casual conversation, this one. You can use divertirse also to enjoy yourself. But those two with this stars or the exclamation points all the time. People throw that out in conversation all the time. Que lo pases bien. Have a good time. Que lo pases bien. Que te vaya bien. May it all go well for you. Okay?
You
So,
wouldn't say que te lo pases bien, would you?
no. No, because you are having a good time and we're already conjugating pasar. And pasar here is not reflexive. So you're spending a good time, and the good time is the low part. Yeah, with the bien attached. Que lo pases bien. You pass it well, meaning pass your time well. So these, when you hear in the Spring Spanish thing where they're talking about chunks, these are chunks. These are chunks that you can get to know, that you just throw it out when you talk to people, and you just memorize them. Hope you feel better, que se mejore, or que te mejores. You just throw that out. Throw it out. It starts with que. May you get well. For us to say, may you get well, may you have a good time, sounds incredibly formal and stilted, but that is what they're saying. And these all start with K. So these are little chunks you can literally memorize, where it's just your parting phrase when you leave a place. Okay. Make sense? Sí? Lógico? Okay. I want you to get together into some smaller groups and start to use verbs of wishing and the last half impersonal phrases to talk about things with subjunctive. I want the mechanic to do something, right? The waiter wants the customers to do something. The passengers on the plane, they want to do something. And instead of using querer, we're using desear. Desean, they desire, they want. El jefe pide, the boss asks that the employees do something. Necesitamos que ustedes, we need you guys to do something. Do you want to break these into two parts or one big group? We've got verbs of wanting and then just es with a description. Two parts better? Mejor?
Two parts.
Two parts. Okay, let's do 1 through 5 first. 1 through 5 first. Come up, share some ideas that you had with your classmates, and we'll get some breakout rooms here. Somos 11.
I have to go now, so I'm gonna say
okay.
goodbye to you guys.
Okay.
We'll see you next semester.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bueno.
Adios.
Adios. Adios. And we'll see.
now.
I'm going to make sure that Donna's leaving does not leave somebody in the lurch. No, we've still got a group up. Ooh, but I am going to move one person over. One person over.
Betsy lost power, so I don't know if she's still watching.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll see. And I'll handle that. If she comes back in, I'll see her. Okay. If she comes back in, no worries. I will see her first. So I'm going to open it up all to all the rest of you. I'm going to make sure we've got everybody paired up. Ooh. Okay. A ver. 5. Oh dear, we had a blip.
Yeah, I had Kathy for a second, but she was like frozen. She couldn't
You know
hear
what?
me.
I'm going to bring Kathy, and I'm going to get out and bring you, Karen, back in with the big group.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Am I? Okay, now you're muted.
You can't hear me. Now you can.
No.
Hear me.
Am I in a group now?
Oh, here comes Kathy. Okay. No, you're going to be in here, the group. It'll be 3 of us.
Okay.
And Kathy's coming back in. Okay. Now we got Kathy coming back in. Catalina, lo siento mucho. Lo siento mucho. Kathy, we're going to have you stay in this group.
You need to unmute, Kathy.
And she needs to unmute, and I can't set. Here we go. Oh,
still can't hear.
Darn, can't hear you. I don't know what went. Wow, we got a funny thing going on with your sound. Not yet. Let's see. Let me see if I can.
Must be the weather.
It must be the weather. It must be the weather, or it's the Wi-Fi, or good Lord, who knows? The gremlins in the internet. Una vez más, I know she's trying to unmute. We know you're trying.
And the symbol is
Kathy,
turned off.
can you hear us? Nod yes if you can hear us. You can hear us. Okay. So just listen in. I don't know what went wrong, but there's something goofy happening. So just listen for now. Okay. Bueno, vamos a practicar. We're going to practice. So we're going to pull out some things. And I don't know that you can type in chat box. Probably not right now. So we're just going to go with the flow. And unos ejemplos. Karen, ¿qué tienes? What do you have for some examples?
Okay. Quiero que el mecánico sea honesto.
Quiero que el mecánico sea honesto. I want him to be honest. Muy normal. Muy normal. Bueno, el camarero quiere, quiero que el mecánico arregle mi carro. I want him to fix my car. Quiero que el mecánico arregle. Arregle, he fixes. Arregle mi carro o repare mi carro. Ok, vale, muy bien. Número 2. El camarero, waiter, ¿sí? Quiere que los clientes
dejan propinas grandes.
Dejen. Dejen. That they leave big tips. El camarero quiere que los clientes dejen propinas muy grandes. Muy perfecto. El camarero quiere que los clientes pidan pronto. That they order soon. El camarero quiere que los clientes disfruten de la cena. They enjoy the dinner. Muchas posibilidades, ¿verdad? Ok. Los pasajeros en el avión. The plane passengers. Los pasajeros en el avión desean que
lleguemos a tiempo.
Que lleguemos a tiempo. That we get there on time. Que sirvan algo de comida. We serve some kind of food. Que sirvan de, ¿sí? Que los pasajeros desean que todo vaya bien. They want everything to go well. Fantástico. Ok. Vale. Por ejemplo, el jefe le pide a sus empleados que
hagan un buen trabajo.
Hagan buen trabajo. They do good work. Que terminen el proyecto a tiempo. Pide que los empleados no salgan hasta las 5. Don't leave till 5. Que no salgan hasta las 5. Muchas posibilidades aquí. Necesitamos que ustedes, we need you guys to
traigamos los bebidas a la fiesta.
Well, we won't use amos because it's ustedes. We need you guys. So let's alter that just a little bit.
Okay.
Instead of amos,
traigan.
Necesitamos que ustedes traigan ¿sí? Necesitamos que ustedes participen en el ejercicio. Necesitamos que ustedes ayuden con el trabajo. Necesitamos que ustedes hablen con nosotros. We need you guys to talk to us. Muchas posibilidades, ¿sí? Necesitamos que ustedes paguen. We need you guys to pay. Bien. Muchas posibilidades. Ok. Bueno. Lógico, ¿no? Is this feeling a little more natural? See?
When you have time to think about it.
You have to, but you do. Es natural. It is natural for you to need time to think about it. It is very, very, very natural for you to need that time. So what we want people to understand is that this is a process that will not come like that. And if you expect it to, then you're probably in a native language, your first mother tongue had subjunctive too. In that case, you probably wouldn't have to think about it so much.
But the whole process, you have to think about how is the word spelled? What
You
is the
do.
yo form? How do you change it? And
You do.
there's too many steps.
There are many steps. There are many steps. So what I wanted to do with this introduction was to just give you some steps, some reasons that are more obvious. Now, sometimes in destinos, they still use some steps that are like not obvious, like that whole thing with doubt. That's dicey. That's really, really hard for English learners. But I want you to see that it happens, but don't force yourself to, I've got to practice that one yet, because it won't feel as natural.
Kathy's writing something there. How thrown off are people going to be if you goof, you know? I mean, if you...
Oh, they'll be pretty forgiving. Hablan bajito.
Necesitamos que ustedes...
Sí. Oh, el bebé está
hablen.
dormida. El bebé está dormida. The baby's asleep.
Oh.
Necesitamos que ustedes hablen bajito. Kathy, me gusta muchísimo. Qué buen ejemplo, qué buen ejemplo. What a good example. Me gusta. Sí, el último ejemplo que Kathy's volume is not turning on. Necesitamos que ustedes hablen, sí, necesitamos que ustedes hablen muy bajito, ¿sí? Pero no tengo un bebé. But I don't have a baby.
I am just
Es un ejemplo.
write it up there.
La bebé está dormida. Yeah, the baby is asleep. They need to talk quietly. Okay. Hay otros ejemplos. What other examples do you have that were fun examples that your neighbors used? Who wants to contribute something? And I'm going to put our share screen up again so that you can see everything together. Okay. Just chime in with an idea. What were some good examples you guys had with this top half?
Sue and I had the same one for number one, which quiero que el mecánico arregle mi coche pronto. She had something very similar, but used carro.
Bueno, okay, fantástico. ¿Qué más? What other good examples or fun examples or funny ones did you have? Oh, and some of you may be on mute. So remember when you come back in from breakout room, it puts you on mute. So you'll want to take yourselves off. Well, was there anything that you struggled with in using that? Because this is kind of your second time going through verbs of desire. ¿Es difícil o un poco difícil?
Poco, because I have to think about it, you know, and use the yo, and then, yeah, and the subjunctive.
Yeah.
It's not spontaneous.
Yeah,
it's not spontaneous. Okay. Okay. Eso me ayuda. That helps me. Mm-hmm. That helps me. And Karen and I were talking about this because we had some technical difficulties with one of the Zoom rooms. it is very, very natural. Es muy natural que ustedes tengan dificultades con el subjuntivo. Es muy natural que ustedes tengan dificultades con el subjuntivo. It is very natural for you to have difficulty with it because you were thinking about conjugation and now a different conjugation, but oh my gosh, it's not in the form you expect. It's in that funny sounding form, yeah? So you are going through several steps. You are looking at the step of, do I have a trigger verb? So we want to only really talk about this realm of wishes, desires, and then these phrases. So we're going to do these bottom ones together.
A quick question, Meryl.
Sí, Susana.
Yeah, did you just use tengan or tengen?
Tengan.
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 So, but you're saying it is natural.
Es
That's not like
natural.
es cierto. It's certain.
Es natural, but that one
no.
It's not the word cierto, it's not verdad,
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
obvio, es natural. Sigamos estudiando durante, sí, entre semestres, sí. Sigamos, let's keep studying, sí. Okay, bien, gracias, Kathy. La pobre, I feel sorry for you, I'm sorry. She can hear us, we can't hear her. Okay, let's take some of these S ideas and build some ideas, because these I think are easier.
Before we get to the S, can I ask one question?
Sí, claro.
And never mind, it's on the S, forget it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All of these, you don't have to think hard. They will use subjunctive. Es buena idea que nosotros, es buena idea que nosotros sigamos estudiando. It's a good idea that we keep on studying. Es buena idea que sigamos estudiando entre semestres. Exacto, como dice aquí Catalina, like she says here. Es buena idea que sigamos estudiando. It's a good idea for us to keep studying. ¿Qué más? What else could we plug in here?
Aprendemos un idioma nuevo.
Okay, but we can't use aprendemos. We have to change it to subjunctive. So it becomes wrong sounding. Aprendamos, exacto. Es buena idea que aprendamos. En las próximas semanas, in the next weeks. Fantástico. Es raro que. Es
raro.
Sí. Dime, sí.
Es raro que mis hijos vayan a las camas temprano.
Bien, sí. Ok. Perfecto. Es raro que haya tantas tempestades. It's weird that there are so many storms. Es raro que haya tantas tempestades. ¿Sí? Bien.
I have a question about using the raro. I had es raro que haya tantos accidentes causados por conductores de, and I think this is contramos, your wrong way drivers. Is it, how do you say wrong way drivers? It's so many. Wrong way. I didn't know whether it was contramos.
Las personas que manejan en la dirección equivocada, in the wrong way.
Okay.
There's not a nice short.
No.
Better. Okay, so here's a workaround to make it easier. Malos conductores, bad drivers, just bad drivers. Just leave it at that.
Okay.
Malos conductores, bad drivers. Okay. Bien. Okay. Bueno, es preciso que. It's absolutely necessary que. Preciso is a really firm word. It means like got to. Es preciso que. It's absolutely necessary that
que ustedes extinguían completamente sus fuegos de campamento.
Ah, bien. Put out those fires. Extingan. Sí.
Extingan.
Extinguish. Perfecto. Muy bien. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más?
Que llueve bastante para llenar los embalses, to fill the reservoirs.
Ah, sí. Sí. Ah, bueno, es preciso que, es preciso que yo saque dinero suficiente del banco este mes. I take out enough money from the bank this month.
Now, when I looked up preciso, I found more than one meaning.
Yes, you will find more than
So
one
it
meaning.
had accurate, precise, or very and necessary. So how do you
Yes.
know which one is meant? Because if you're saying
Because this
that it's-
phrase es preciso just means it's necessary.
okay.
And it makes it a very urgent necessary.
Okay, so it's the phrase, it's the chunk.
It's the phrase, you know.
Okay.
If I say, el calculador es muy preciso, it's a very precise calculator. That's a different thing. You know, a calculator is not necessary. It's just very precise. It works properly. Es así. Es probable que es probable que llueva más hoy.
Es probable que haga calor en septiembre.
Es probable que haga calor. Aún haga calor. Still, sí, aún haga calor en septiembre. Sí, claro. Es probable que
Es probable que nuestros amigos nos vayan a visitar.
nos vayan a visitar, are going to visit us. Perfecto, muy bien. Es probable que
Yo no viaje este año.
que yo no viaje este año, that probable that I won't travel this year. Sí. Es probable que los estudiantes en el colegio, en the high school, se quejen mucho de las reglas, complain a lot about the rules, ¿sí? Es imposible que, it's impossible that.
Es imposible que hayan hojas en los árboles de arce en invierno.
Ojos, eyes.
No, hojas.
Oh,
Leaves.
hojas, perdón, leaves. I thought you said ojos. Hojas, leaves. I thought eyes. Wow, okay.
Well,
Sí.
maybe I said it wrong.
Hojas. Muy bien. Es imposible que crucemos el arroyo. It's impossible that we can cross this arroyo. It's flooded, yeah, sí, bien, sí, como este pobre, es imposible que crucemos el arroyo. It's impossible for us to cross this, yeah, eso es, ¿verdad? Es imposible que...
Yo como las remolachas, no me gusta.
Coma.
Yo como las remolachas. Beets, that's what they said beets were.
Okay. Bien. Es imposible que ellos nos escuchen. It's impossible that they can hear us. Sí, que nos oigan. Bien. Okay. Bien. So you keep hearing some of this. Que mi pez hable. It's impossible for my fish to talk. Es imposible que mi pez hable español. It's impossible for my fish to speak Spanish. Sí. No tengo un pez, and I have no fish. Gracias. Que tienes, qué buen sentido de humor tienes. What a good sense of humor you have. Ay, me gusta muchísimo. Okay. Entonces, eso es. So I've gone a few minutes over. Bueno, sí. Okay, so you got a little taste of that. I do want to show you some things you can do or some things you may want to watch. These are some suggestions. So this is just like during a hiatus time, right? When we're off, because we're off for a couple of weeks here. There are some videos. This one is a little more advanced. I'm going to, oh, whoops, can't see it. That did not help. No ayuda. Okay, here's my share button. This is on IMDb. If you have YouTube TV, if you have YouTube TV, you can probably put this in the search box and YouTube TV will probably take you to this movie. This is a very cool movie. It's very sci-fi, fantasy, futuristic. You may not understand everything, but you'll get the gist. You'll get the gist, and you can put on subtitles for sure. Eva, and there are many, many movies with Eva. So it has to be that Eva has the little girl in the red coat. Look for Eva with a little girl, not Eva with an A, B, A. It's Eva with an E, B, A, E-V-A. And the little girl in the red coat, right? And it may have been on IMDb TV, which you can get to through YouTube TV, just saying. So that's a possibility. And it is a one movie shot, not a series, just a one movie shot. And I really, really, really recommend this. And this is on Amazon. It's on Amazon. So if you have Amazon, or if you can get one of those deals where you can get it for a week for free. I don't know if they're offering that yet or not, but you know, La Templanza. La Templanza, ooh, but they also call it the vineyard. You may have to put it in English to look for this. I don't know if it will come up with Templanza. It may come up as the vineyard.
It does come up as the vineyard.
But if you plug it in as the vineyard, you can ask it to play it in Spanish. And this is a series, and this is a binge watch. So hay ocho o nueve episodios. No recuerdo muy bien. Hay quizás 9, quizás 8 episodios. There are about that many episodes. But it is definitely kind of a telenovela thing. Yeah. So it's kind of soapy, kind of fun, but actually one of the most beautifully, from a cinematography point of view, one of the most beautifully shot pieces. The shooting on the video is beautiful. Artistically speaking, it is very, very beautiful. So I highly, highly recommend La Templanza, that you give that a look. And they have at their little subtitle for El Título La Templanza, which does mean temperance, by the way. And La Templanza is the name, like they use La Gavia in Destinos. Templanza is the name for the original place where this young lady grows up. It is a vineyard. It is in fact a vineyard, a working vineyard run as a business to export fine wines. And the little subtitle, Dos historias, un destino. 2 stories, one destiny, one fate. Yeah. The only spoiler I will give is that these 2 people start completely in separate geographical areas, nowhere near each other. They both have kind of crappy situations starting out their lives, and they continue for many, many years totally separate. And the story is what leads up to them coming together. Yeah. So there's the fun part. And you can get it you can ask it to do Spanish audio, but English subtitles. You can get it Spanish audio and Spanish subtitles. You can get it to do it in English. Oh, please don't do that. But lots of combinations. So that is a super good thing, and it would give you a little snippet to watch, something truly, truly fun story, fun and interesting story. It is kind of, it is pretty soapy, but a lot of fun. So, okay, vale, bien?
Bien.
Bien, 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 fantástico. And I would suggest that you watch one of those rather than go into a lot of reading, because it'll be a fun story and you'll get, you know, dragged into the story and it'll make you want to listen. Either way, with either one of those. So, vale, muy bien. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording for there. Class starts up September 13th, 14th, something like that. It's in the teens. It's in their early teens. Later than I would have thought. But I think that is when it starts. But do check the website just to make sure. But I think that'll be the beginning. And I'll look it up for sure and send it in the email to everybody at the end.
Yeah, I think it's
Kathy
the
knows.
15th. I think it's the
15th? 15th? Okay. El 15. Wow. That seems like a long break. It is a long break. Pero así es.